for listening to Two Girls, One Plant.
We're your hosts, Madison
And Julian, and this week we're talking Allocation.
Alocasia, yay! This will be fun. We're back with another genus episode.
Yeah.
And we're also back
after what feels like forever.
Yeah, it's been like a month since we both recorded together, so it's good to be back in the studio and be with Jillian and
yeah, in the same room, y'all.
I know. Yeah, last week was 2 weeks ago. It was kind of weird, kind of going back to like old pandemic days of recording separately. But it was good though. We needed it. I needed it.
Yeah, I got a lot of good rest in. Yeah. We talked about a lot of small businesses. But now we get to jump back into it. And honestly, we have a lot packed for the end of the season.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's all, with taking the week off. And then on top of that, kind of having like a chill episode that wasn't really planned for this season. It kind of put us back a little bit, but we still want to try and hit 14 episodes for this season. We might take Christmas week off. We haven't really discussed it too much, but I think we deserve to have Christmas week off.
I think everybody deserves
that. So let's make the decision now. We're gonna take Christmas week off.
I like it.
Yeah. Sorry, love you guys. We literally haven't talked about it, but yeah, I think we deserve it.
Yeah, and we'll still have like a decent number of episodes for the end of the season.
Yes.
So this week we're going to be talking about Alocasia, just as her genus episodes, because you guys really seem to love those, and we always learn a lot every time we do them.
Yeah, definitely.
And Allocasias are super popular.
They are really popular houseplants. Like I feel like that's like kind of the ones like everyone thinks of too. Like it's with your pothos, your sansevieria, your monstera, Allocasia. Like it's one of the ones. So we did take an Instagram poll. We were planning on doing sansevieria.
Which wasn't my pick.
It was my pick too. But because we just wanted to try something different, I guess, and kind of dive into what makes sansevieria. But I thought it'd be cool also to do Allocation just to kind of round out the aroid family, because we've done Monstera and Philodendron in our past season, so you can go listen to those if you haven't. But I just felt like maybe we can see if people want to. So you can follow us on Instagram, and we can link it below. But we have polls all the time on there, and we ask for feedback on what we should do for episodes. So you can follow us there. We always ask. But anyway, let's, do you want to do a little recap, a little catch up real quick? What's new with you?
Yeah. I've just been watering all day. I got like this big old Calancho for the studio.
It's so pretty. It's such a pretty plant.
Yeah, I haven't killed my marble queen yet. No shocker, but like I'm still as impressed.
Aww.
Yeah.
It's cute.
So, I don't know, pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about you? It's been kind of the same.
Yeah, I'm still having health issues. I'm still not back to work entirely. And you'll hear me cough throughout this whole podcast. Sorry. Jillian will do her best to edit it out, but it's just I did go plant shopping and I came to visit you the other day.
Woo-hoo!
That was nice.
Awesome.
It was so nice to see her and just be at Reroot. I haven't been to Reroot in forever, so it was nice to kind of like test the waters in a place that was small, and I knew someone if I needed help. So I was exhausted that day. That was a hard day, but I'm glad I did it and I pushed myself and I got some plants out of it.
Which is always fun.
I think, so I got a Dark Lord.
I saw that from Overgrown Home.
Oh my god. So that's been a wish list for mine for so long, but honestly, I got like 5 plants that day, but I think my all-time favorite is just the green pothos I got from Rose House.
Aww.
It's so simple, but it's so big and lush and green that I'm kind of obsessed with it. Can we make pothos like more popular again? I feel like they're popular, but like
they're such easy giving plants. Yes. I know they're not rare or fancy, but they're giving and they're beautiful. So yeah, I'm into it.
I'm obsessed with mine.
Bring pothos back.
Ooh, I'm gonna post it on Instagram so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But anyway, that's been me. So
yeah, and you got an Alocasia actually at Reroot.
I did. I got a Maharani from Reroot. I'm obsessed with it. I was kind of looking at it this morning and touching its leaf. I was just like in its case and I was like, hello friend. That thing is so cool. The texture of it is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
There's so many allocations with cool textures. That's kind of why a lot of their common names have dragon in them.
Yeah.
It's like a really common thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, and like we talked about, like Allocation to me are the ones that like when everybody's like it's so Jurassic, like it's Allocation is usually the ones they're talking about.
True.
So, but let's jump into this. Let's talk about this. Miss Allocasia. And if you haven't listened to our genus episodes, oh hello computer.
Whoa.
If you haven't listened to our previous episodes about genus plants, we go more into it in our philodendron episode, and we're really breaking down the kingdom, the order of everything, the biological classification of each plant and how it gets to that genus. So we go more in detail in the first episode we did. We're not going to go too much in detail today because it is still an aroid at the end of the day. So, but there is like some new information, but we're still going to break it down for you. So again, kingdom, it's a plant. Duh. But this was kind of interesting to me. The research I was doing, if you look up what's called a crisp plant, which is a poly, like what we all know as a poly Alocasia, and then it's Magnoliophyta, which is Allocasia. There's two different kinds, but when you break them down into order, family, subfamily, genus, it's all the same. But those two are different, and it's what's called a clade or a phylum. And clades are pretty much, in terms of biological classification, I'm going to try to explain this the best I can. I'm not a botanist or a scientist, y'all. I'm just a Google research assistant, okay? But a clade, also known as a monophyletic group or natural group, is a group of organisms that are monophyletic, that is composed of common ancestor and all its lineal descendants. So,
okay, wait, so like to make sure I'm going in order then, it's like obviously in the plant kingdom.
And then it goes clade.
It doesn't go like order, family, subfamily, genus, and then clade?
So clade, no. So for clade, so it would go clade, then order, then family. But there's two different ones. So there's the Tracheophyta, which is the poly, and the Magnoliophyta, which is the Alocasia.
Interesting.
So those two is where they differ, but then they come back and they're the exact same for order, family, subfamily, and genus. It's very interesting.
Get out. Okay.
So there is some differences, and I think we've all kind of seen it when we research Allocation. There's so many different types of Allocation, like, you know, those big taros, and then all the way down to our really, you know, nice small houseplants and the ones we see in the wild. So there are different ones, so that's where they kind of differ, and that's the ones they're more referring to. So think of the Tracheophyta, more of like your houseplant, where the Magnoliophyta is more of your what we see out in the wild.
Interesting.
So think of it kind of like that. It's a little confusing. Pretty much it's all Allocasia at the end of the day when it comes to the genus. But I just thought that was kind of interesting that they have like some differences. It's still an Alice Metalius. You said it, I think, in one episode.
Alice Metal. I mean, basically, Alice. I don't know.
That's
right?
Yeah. No, that was good. I liked your pronunciation better than mine. But that's its order. And again, that's a flowering plant. The family is Araceae. We've talked about Araceae. People talk about Araceae all the time. And that's a plant with a spadix. And then the subfamily is Aroideae, or an aroid. And then down to genus, which is Allocasia. The big thing that I saw with Allocasia and being in the aroid family is we think aroids are always climbing plants.
Yeah, so many of our common ones are.
Yeah, philodendron, monstera. But Allocasia really aren't big climbers. And when I was trying to do a lot of research, and I was like, well, why is it still in the aroid family? But really it just has to do with its...
The flower, right?
The flower, correct. The flower and the stem and the way it's grown.
Yeah. So like pistils are aroids too.
Mm-hmm.
Spathiphyllums, because they have that same inflorescence in Spadex.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, because I know like Allocasias have a totally different root system. So let's get into the characteristics that make Allocations what they are, because it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So their leaves, if you guys have ever seen an Alocasia, like they have, it's considered in taxonomy, and the specific wordage is cordate or sagittate leaves.
Look
so
at you.
Stop. She's embarrassing. Sagittate, I'm so proud of myself. It's kind of like where you kind of have the texture of like the veining in the plant and the texture of the leaves along the sides, making kind of like jaggedness or like a saw almost. Zigzags. So that's what it's more so referring to. Also with, a lot of Alocasia feel very matte or silky. It also refers to that as well. And Alocasia get big. The leaves get huge, and there's a ton of them. But there's so many that can grow from like 2 to 4 feet big.
It's pretty wild.
So wild. And those again are ones that we see mostly in the wild. And then let's see, their flowers, which again is a Spadex. We don't see them very much. They're more underneath the leaves. So it's kind of like a Hoya in a sense, where the Hoyas, like their flowers are underneath the foliage. You don't really see them very much. That's where they most likely will bloom, and that's the same with an Alocasia. So, and we have mentioned this before. It is a perennial.
Yep. So it does have like a tuberous root system. It's basically a bulb, just like a lily or a tulip, other elephant ears like caladiums.
Yeah.
So they do like to go dormant over the winter. There are a lot of people who like buy them over the fall, and then they'll die immediately, and they're like, oh my god, I killed it. And it's like, it's not you.
Yeah.
They totally want to go dormant, and you basically will take care of just a little bulb in a pot of dirt for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And then they'll come back in the spring, which is really cute.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't like realize how many, I think Alocasia was like my awakening to like how many houseplants are actually perennials.
Yeah.
I didn't like really realize that, how many actually go dormant. Like I know aloes right now are coming out of their dormancy and waking up in winter. So I didn't realize how many plants actually go dormant. So the Alocasia was really like my awakening to that. It's really cool.
Yeah, they're definitely one of the most dramatic.
Yes, they are. And then also their leaves, we've seen their leaves. They are heart-shaped, are arrow-shaped. They're long. And as you mentioned before, they are bulb plants. So if you want to grow one, you would have to buy the bulb and grow it essentially, and it would come in spring. I've never seen a bulb though sold in like a store or anything for Allocation.
Not just the bulb. No, most people sell the plant.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen. That'd be kind of interesting to see though, like a plant store. Anyway. Because, like, you always see, like, tulips and, like, all these other, like, flowering plants. But I wonder if it's because it is a Spadex plant, so since it's an aroid, maybe that's why. Because
maybe. I know in Colorado you can't really sell it as a perennial much. Because, like, I don't know, they can't handle it out here.
So, like, in
winter,
wintertime.
like, the really big ones, like,
right. Right. But, like, in wintertime, like, they would not survive then, pretty much.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. That if you've done that,
let
us know, because that's fascinating.
I would love to see an Allocation that just comes back for you every year in your yard.
Colorado of all places, the most dry, crusty, dusty place.
Right? I'm saying, like,
oh my goodness.
Spider-Mite heaven.
Ooh, we're gonna talk about that later too, because everybody gets like Allocation for some people is such a traumatic word. It is for Jillian.
Brings back memories.
Jillian's gonna talk about it here soon, but let's talk about where they're
from.
Where are they from? So most Allocasia, if not all of them, they are from mostly the Eastern Asian part of the world. So you will see them come out like also in like Middle Eastern Asia as well. But that's mostly where they come out of. Also Australia. They are native to Australia as well. They are not native to South America.
Yeah, that's super interesting because I mean it is true. Like Alocasia amazonica would kind of imply some South American roots.
Yeah, it would. But it's just a scientific name. It has no relation to the Amazon River, or has never even been to South America. So no, and we're talking about the amazonica ones. But all the other ones, yeah, they're all like more Eastern Asian and Australia. You're not gonna find them really anywhere else native to the world.
I mean, that makes sense. I have heard a lot of like the new ones like Aslanii and stuff being either grown or poached out of like Indonesia, Malaysia, like Borneo, places like that.
Yeah.
In Southeast Asia.
Yeah, that makes sense. But that's more so where we're gonna find them. And the name. So Alocasia and Colocasia. It would be actually a really good idea to do a Colocasia episode. That would be really interesting. Further down the road, Colocasias are like so misunderstood, I feel like.
True.
But there is like a difference with Allocation and Colocasia. We're not going to get into Colocasia, but as far as the name goes, it is a Greek word. The Greek word meaning without, and Colocasia, then the name closely aligns with the genus in which it is separated. So without Colocasia, it's colo, you add an A, without Allocasia. That's how you get the name.
Interesting.
So, I don't know, these freaking botanists going back to Greek and Latin. Can we use like a language that's not like a dead language anymore?
No.
Like,
it's too late.
Like, even like back in like the 1800s and 1900s, when these guys were like discovering all this stuff, Latin was still very much a dead language. Anyway, that's fine. That's fine. We're getting there.
That's fine.
It's fine.
So as far as toxicity for Alocasia, it's a super duper common house plant that you have around kids and pets and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like just about everybody else in the Araceae family, it is toxic. So specifically, like, I don't know actually specifically what parts of it are toxic.
It's
the tuber.
Yeah. So the tuber is mostly the one. The bulb is not.
Okay.
So you can actually eat the bulb. It is edible. Please don't go be eating your Allocation bulbs. Like there's like it's like preparing a blowfish. Like you can eat a blowfish, but like would you want to prepare it and eat it? Exactly, it's the same thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. I have heard of taro, like people eating taro.
Yeah, same thing. It's the bulb of the taro plant. But like the stems, the leaves, those are where it's toxic. So be careful of that. But it is mostly the stem of the plant. And then the plant, it contains this thing called Rafi Crystals. So it's pretty much like these little spikes that's found, and it's like in the cells of the plant, and that's what causes like itchiness almost, like that itchy burning feeling, because they get stuck in your tissue if you consume it, or if you get it like on an open cut, like let's say you're handling the plant and you get like some sap on like an open wound, it can like infect it and like cause like some damage as well.
Interesting.
And the crystals are of the calcium oxalate, which is basically the toxic part of the plant. Like that's the chemical that is creating like an irritant. If you consume it, you kind of get like difficulty breathing, there's sharp pain in your throat. Call poison control.
Yeah, right. Okay, and like safe to handle then on like a day-to-day, but for curious kids or a new puppy, like
put that on a higher shelf. But your dogs don't. No,
so Bert did once ate a black magic.
Oh my god.
Just one of the leaves, and he was fine, but he did in the middle of the night, and so we don't keep plants in our room anymore where we all sleep, because they sleep on the bed with us and not in kennels.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Okay.
So lesson learned there. He has grown out of it a little bit. He just passed his 2nd birthday and he's gotten a little better about it. So
yeah, small puppies, I feel like they're just so curious.
They want to eat everything.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense then. And also cats too. Like it can, Okay.
It's their jungle.
It is. Yes, I like that. It's cute. Let's talk care tips.
Yeah, pretty easy, honestly. Like a lot of other aeroids, nice bright indirect light. Obviously they're terrestrial, so they're normally getting pretty dappled light in their natural environments. So, don't put them in a southwest facing window.
Yeah.
Nice medium light is going to be best. They can also handle some drier soil. I would definitely let them dry out, I'd say, like most of the way before you give it a really good soak. So you don't want it to be like bone dry, but definitely until like the very bottom of it has moisture left in it.
Yeah.
Give them a really good soak. I find that tap water is just fine for them. They don't seem to give a shit.
Yeah, I haven't noticed. There is like some feedback that I found that if you have like really hard water or really like mineral dense water, it can create the spotting that you can see in the leaves.
Okay.
So if your leaves are showing the spotting, it could be the water you're giving
maybe
it.
check it.
And if that's not it, then it's the fertilizer, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But,
okay.
Yeah.
And then obviously we talked about your dormancy period where you really do want them to dry out truly between waterings. Water them maybe half as often as you would during the growing season. You don't want to totally forget about it because it'll shrivel up and dry, but you also don't want to soak it because it will totally drown the little bulb. So just I would say cut it in half is probably a good start for winter watering at least.
Yeah, mine just went dormant. My Polly did. It dropped all of its leaves. Which was a bummer. It had like 5 big beautiful leaves, but it did this last year, and I water it like once a week, so now I'll probably water it like every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And just be like, hey, cool.
So, and then it'll come back in the spring, which is so sweet.
And it will, like, out of that dry, shriveled little bulb, this little green, like, spike shoots up out of nowhere, and it's when you're least expecting it too. It's so satisfying to watch it come back. I've had mine for 2 years, and the first year I was like, what the fuck? But, like, that was, like, one of my first plants I ever bought, and I was like, oh my god, what's happening? Okay, and I learned. So I've had it, and it's stuck with me, so hopefully it comes back in the spring.
It's pretty sweet, and that's when you want to fertilize, too. So, like, don't fertilize over the winter while she's dormant. She's not going to appreciate it.
Yeah.
But once you see her start popping back up through the soil, you can start your normal fertilizing schedule again, and she does appreciate pretty regular fertilizing. We do have a whole episode just about that, which you can go back and listen to, just so you know kind of what to do for fertilizer, but give her a good meal every once in a while during the growing season.
Yes, definitely.
Keep her in nice chunky aerated soil. Remember, her whole life is in the pot, and she doesn't want to just sit in like a really moist, gross soil all the time. She likes it to get a lot of oxygen to come through. So the same thing you would put like your monstera or your philodendron in.
Yep.
And let's see, what else? Oh, and humidity. Humidity is super important. You can definitely get away without it. I've seen people in Denver that have alocasias that do just fine, but the humidity is definitely going to help with unfurling new leaves as clean as possible, and it's going to help prevent spider mites, which we can finally get into.
Yeah, so Alocasia, I feel like, is the one plant in Colorado that it's a good idea to mist or have a humidifier. It's just good to have it not wet, but just kind of like giving a good mist and rinsing it down every day. Deters spider mites, because spider mites like it dry. That's why they are so prone to going to Alocasia, because we're like, well, it's fine. I don't need to put you with a humidifier. You're doing fine.
Right.
But then, spider mites.
Come out of fucking nowhere. They are seriously the worst. And there are a handful of plants that are particularly prone to spider mites. People do try to like breed plants that specifically are less prone to pests. But unfortunately, like alocasias, Ivies are a really big
Oh
one.
my god, yeah.
There are like a handful, a lot of palms. There are like a handful of plants that just like really lend themselves well to spider mites.
Yeah.
And once you get them, they're like a pain in the ass to get rid of. So extra high humidity is going to help keep them away just because they like it really dry.
Yeah.
I would also definitely put your plant on a systemic.
Mm-hmm.
And clean it regularly. Actually, I'm pretty sure you do like a neem like every other week in between your fertilizer?
Yeah. So I will pour the neem oil in my watering can every 2 weeks, and that's what I put in the soil. And that's what I use to water. And then I spray my plants. So it's like they're getting a mist, but I am spraying them with a systemic that I've made that has neem in it. Nice. So it's getting a spray of neem on the leaves, on the stems, at the root, like at the base of the plant pretty much. So I go ham with that thing.
Yeah, definitely better to be preventative.
Yes.
I had a bunch of Alocasia last year, like a bunch. And went on vacation once, and I know I've told the story on the podcast before, that's fine, I don't care, I'm telling again. I went on vacation once for 2 weeks, and I shit you not, it's like they all got the fucking invite, and I came back to just all of my, just my allocations too, no other plants, just my allocations coated in spider mites, and I tried so hard to fight them off on some of them, and it was such a losing battle. So
that's such a bummer.
Yeah, just if you're gonna go out of town, have somebody water your plants that knows what spider mites look like, and put them on a systemic.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's such a bummer. Well, and a good way too that you can tell if you have spider mites or you're getting spider mites is if you look under the leaves, especially if you're Alocasia, because they're so big, they're giant leaves. So if you look underneath the leaf, if you see spider webs starting to form, you have spider webs.
Yep, you don't need to see a lot of spider webs.
Knock on wood right now. It's pests for me. Every day I check my plants and I'm like, okay, who's gonna have a pest today? And everybody's like, we're all holding our breath.
And it's part of the bargain, right? Like I feel like having plants, like I went through all of my cactus this weekend and my blue candle cactus had a bunch of mealybugs. And I just had to go through, wipe her down, and it's just like, it's part of the trade of like having plants in my house.
That's so annoying.
I know.
That's so frustrating.
That's really what it is. It's just annoying.
Well, and everybody too, like, you know, I read about it like in the Facebook groups and stuff like that. We even had somebody like DM us and was like, I hate allocation because it has spider mites, and like, and everybody I know, and it's such a triggering word for people that like allocation, they're like spider mites.
Seriously. So,
but I think there's other ones besides the poly. I feel like that one's the more notorious one that gets spider mites.
Yeah.
Because they're so common and they just sit in the greenhouses and at the nurseries all the time. So I think it's easier for the pest to pass along and get the memo, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like the ones that are a little bit more uncommon are the ones maybe we don't see as often. Maybe
that are being like imported and sprayed down.
Yeah. I don't think those ones like, I mean, you definitely can still get them, but let's kind of talk about that. Let's talk about different species of Alocasia, because this is, I love talking about the species.
There's so many. It's so cool.
Yeah, there's a ton. There's approximately about 80 that are recorded and recognized by the botanical community, but the ones that are not approved, and there's different cultivars and species and ones that they find in the wild that are not approved is about 400.
Wow, I was gonna say that's more
There's
than the number I was expecting.
Yeah, so the 80 is the ones that are approved by the scientific community. And again, these are ones that they have found that are approved that are from Asia and Australia. So let's talk favorites.
Yes!
So I know that you did have your heart broken with spider mites.
But I did have a lot of Alocasia.
So what were your favorites?
So I had a couple that were really amazing. One was definitely my Stingray.
Okay.
She was stunning. I loved her, and anybody can walk in and appreciate her. And I loved my tiny dancer. I thought she was so stinking cute. I love that their stems are fatter than their leaves. And I always had a flying squid on my wish list and just never ordered one.
Yeah.
But really similar to the tiny dancer.
Yeah.
But it's like kind of flipped around. It's got like tiny little leaves and like really fat stems.
I think those are the same species, but it's a different cultivar.
Probably. They probably have the same parentage. And when we're saying that, we're saying like, you know, your Micans and your Brazil are both Philodendron heteroecium.
Yeah.
But they're different cultivars of heteroecium, which is how
Right.
you have Brazils and Rios and Gabbies and silver stripes. So it's the same thing with the Alocasia.
Yeah.
There are going to be a lot of varieties that we're talking about that are
Yes.
all almost the same, but are slightly different cultivars.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I love my pink dragon.
I know you do. With her
That
cute little stems.
Oh my gosh, so I got her from Living Decor store, and that thing is so happy. It's
And it hasn't gone dormant, right? Isn't it still putting out new growth for you?
It's still putting out new growth. It's been like a couple weeks since it put out a leaf. I haven't noticed anything. It did lose a leaf. But that's what I don't understand is my Polly went dormant, but the other ones I have, so like the dragon varieties, those aren't going dormant. The pink dragon isn't going dormant, and the pink dragon, it sounds like it would be kind of like the dragon scale or the silver dragon. It's different. It's pink dragon because of the stems are pink, where the dragon scales literally look like these hard matte kind of like leaves. So they're a little different, but yeah, so I don't know why that one hasn't gone dormant yet. I need to do some research on it. If it will go dormant, it's very interesting. I don't understand it, so don't ask me about it. But Cupria
Cupria's beautiful.
Oh my god! And then Maharani.
Maharani's beautiful
I love that leaf
too.
that I got from Reroot. Like
Yeah,
it's
it's cutie.
Oh my gosh, it's so thick. Like it feels like plastic almost. Like it doesn't feel real.
And a lot of allocation leaves are like that.
Yes.
They just feel like hard.
Why are you all like that? It's so weird that there's so many like different kind of leaves within the genus. It's so interesting. But let's talk about common ones that we see maybe either all the time or ones that we see that come through our shops and our plant shops like a few times a year.
Fairly regularly.
Yeah, like we'll have them maybe for like a couple months and then they'll be gone for a couple months and come back. So definitely the Amazonica, the Polly.
You can find that one at your big box stores,
Oh my
grocery
God, yeah.
stores, your small nurseries. Everybody carries them.
Everywhere.
They're very eye-catching, so they're a really good
Yes.
starter plant because they're fairly easy to take care of and they're really like stunning. They're like purple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, and that's like I feel like what everybody kind of starts out with is the Amazonica.
Yep.
I did. I love the Amazonica. And then the next one is it's macro Rhiza, which is the ones that you see all the time in like your greenhouses or your nurseries. It's those big giant looking Alocasia. So it's a giant taro is another name for it.
Yeah.
But it's the big giant ones that have those giant like stems at the base. So those are like your big daddies.
Yeah, and these are the only ones I've seen in landscaping. So I know we
Yeah.
talk about that. Like these are the only ones I've seen actually used as like perennials in any sense.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Right? Like, yeah, for some reason. They're just like really big hardy boys.
Yep. Yeah, and I saw Rose House had one the other day when I went, and it was like a giant one. It was probably like 4 feet tall. And I was like, I want like I feel like now a lot of people, like I see, you know, the people who have like a ficus or like a oh gosh, what am I thinking of? What's the other big plant? Birds of Paradise.
Yeah.
They're starting to get like the giant taros now for their house.
Huh,
It's like a big.
interesting.
I feel like that's like the next new one and like the big plant
It is
decor.
a big statement.
It is. She's cute though.
Mm-hmm.
We like her. And then another common one. So it's hooded dwarf, which is a cuculata hooded dwarf. And then a longi loba, which is what I have. That's a pink dragon.
Okay.
That's another name for it. And then the Tiny Dancer, which is a cross, so that's a cultivar. It's the Brisbanensis cross with Odora.
And the Odora is pretty popular too.
Yeah.
That's one you see often.
Yeah, a lot of times if there's cultivars, usually it will have Odora crossed with it.
Interesting.
So the ones that we see all the time that are like weird looking, it usually will have Odora in it, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And then, excuse me, moving into like uncommon, so maybe like more expansive, more dull hairs out of your wallet, the Friedeck. So can you say it? Go ahead, you say it.
God, I always just say it with confidence. I would say like Mycolitziana.
That's really good. Mycolitziana. I'm gonna cheat off you. Mycolitziana Friedeck. I want a Friedeck.
They are very pretty. They're very similar to the poly, except they almost have like a softness to the leaf, right? Like they have
kind of velvety almost. And it doesn't have like a border. Like the poly has like the border of like the white on the outside, where the Friedeck doesn't.
It's all solid color.
Yeah. So
yeah, and the variegated Friedeck is also quite expensive. Exists on the market, is quite expensive.
It does, yeah. Yes.
And the next one is the black velvet. So Reginula, maybe?
Yeah, Reginula.
Yeah, those are really beautiful. They're actually really popular in Denver right now. They're like pretty available, but typically I would say they're not. They kind of come and go.
Yeah.
You can't just find them all the time.
Yeah. They're like around right now. I bought one on Saturday as well, and I love it. She did need a drink of water though today.
Yeah.
I like woke up and all of her leaves were like curled. Like yesterday they were fine, and then today I was like, holy shit, rescue mission. Yep. This is a $50 rescue mission. Oh my god. Yeah, but that's a really cool plant. And then this is another word that we just mentioned. It's macrorhiza stingray. So it is a macrorhiza stingray. So that one is a cultivar of the giant taro. Yeah, interesting.
Which you can kind of see, it has the stingray shape, especially in its juvenile form. And as it gets bigger, if I'm not mistaken, it does eventually lose that shape. It's very much a part of its juvenile life. So and she needs like enough sunlight to kind of keep that going and stay happy. And then there's the Beginda, which I feel like there are a few popular Begindas out there, right?
Yeah, there's a few.
This one's the Silver Dragon, which is beautiful. Yeah. Another dragon name.
Yeah, those are becoming more common here in Denver. There's not a ton of them.
But they're around.
I feel like when they first came on the scene, it was like, 3 months ago? And they were like 90 to 120. And now they're kind of like slowly going down, I feel like, in price to like maybe 50 to 80 is like around the range.
Yeah, now they're like a little more available.
Yep, exactly. So if you're in the Denver area, you could easily find one if you asked around or just went to like a couple plant shops. You could definitely find it. So
same with the Maharani, which is the one that Madison picked up. We just got more. Those are kind of around Denver right now and aren't always available, but like right now kind of are passing through, which is nice.
Yeah, those are really cool. And then the dragon scale, we talked about that before, and there's so many different types of dragon scale Alocasia. And I had a hard time actually finding the Latin name for the dragon scale, so we'll just refer to it as the dragon scale for right now. So those ones, the silver dragon, the Maharani, the dragon scale, again, it's that plasticky matte finish leaf. Oh
my gosh. I know, right? And then I don't want to skip the Ladderbacchiana just because she has such a cool look to her. She's one of the few that doesn't have that arrowhead shape.
No.
She's very long. She's still jagged, but she's very long and narrow, and it's super cool looking. I don't think they're as popular, but they're definitely a little harder to find.
They are, and they have like a purpley kind of greenish tint to them.
Yeah, very dark in color. It's pretty cool.
Those are really, really pretty. There's also the, say it, oh God, help me, Jillian.
Clypeolata? I don't know.
Clypeolata, that sounds right.
And the Sabrina, which is beautiful.
Sabrina.
That we do see around.
Yes, I feel like I used to see Sabrina all of the time. All of the time. And now I never see them.
I know. I've only seen one in the last few months.
I think I've seen one in the last like year and a half.
Isn't it weird how plants do that? They just like disappear for a little bit.
I know. Yeah. Where'd you go?
I know. I don't know.
They're so cool.
They're really beautiful.
Stems are literally like zebra stripes.
Yeah, that's definitely the coolest part of them.
Oh my gosh! And then their little like arrowhead leaves coming out of the tip. Oh my god, they're so cool. I want one so bad. If you're selling one, I will buy it from you. Like, let me know. They're so cool.
Somebody find Madison and Sabrina. Let's go.
Yes.
And then you have this like more uncommon to rare section.
Yeah.
I don't even know what some of these are.
So obviously there's the Cupria, and then the most like rare of the Cuprias, it's called Red Secret. So it's a more red tinted Cupria. There's black ones, there's green ones, there's so many different type of Cuprias. And then there's the Sabrina Reticulata. I'm so funny.
Reticulata.
I'm so stupid. Oh, this is the most talking I've also like done since
in a minute.
Like, our last podcast, so I cannot talk that well. Sabrina Reticulata.
Mm-hmm.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
This one is gorgeous. The leaves look like almost like camouflage, and it still has the Sabrina stem that we all know.
Ooh, that's cool.
Really gorgeous. Really hard to find. Very expensive if you do. You're like looking at like the hundreds.
All right.
They're expensive. And then this one, oh my god, we will share this one on Instagram for sure. But so there's two different ones, but I want to talk about this one. It's the Nebula Imperialis. Gorgeous. It looks like an Allocation. You wouldn't think it would be an Allocation, but it makes sense that it's an Allocation.
Wow.
Isn't that so pretty?
Yeah, I definitely had to look up a picture of it. It's absolutely stunning.
And then if you wanted to, you could also look up just the Imperialis. That it's, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, she's really beautiful.
It looks like it has the shape still where it's still kind of like an arrowhead. It's a little bit more rounded on the side. But instead of like the stem, or excuse me, the veining being so like pronounced, it's a little bit more like kind of like towards the like concave of the leaf. I look up a picture.
And it's like black. The veining is black, and it's like a reverse poly. It's like pretty cool looking.
That's a good way of describing it.
Yeah, she's pretty cool looking.
Such a cool plant.
And then I also feel like Islanii has to be like in this section.
Oh yes. Okay, wait, hold on. I've heard this one. Let me look up a picture. What did you say it was?
Islanii, Azlanii. There were a handful of those that came through Denver recently too. She's really beautiful. Really expensive online, just because she's been really popular this year. And she has almost like pinkish, like veining.
Oh, okay, wait. Oh yes. Oh. Yes. Oh, those are so yeah. Yeah, because I thought this was like a type of like Cupria the first time I saw it.
I mean, it's very possible.
But it's not.
I think Islanii is the scientific name, right? Like Alocasia Islanii.
Yep. Oh my gosh. Why are you so pretty?
Yeah, she's beautiful. And then your last section kind of looks like a joke, and I'm sure it's not, but you just have rare, and then under it you wrote loco. Like, we're all gonna go crazy over this rare plant, but like, is that actually an Allocation?
Yeah, so look it up. It looks like if a poly became a witch's hat.
Oh my goodness.
It's kind of like a Shangri-La, like Godzilla Shangri-La.
Wow, I've never seen one of those before. How did you hear about this plant?
So I had it on my wish list actually. I went through like my allocation wish list for a lot of these. And I grabbed from different sources like Keely Ellen's videos and things like that. Isn't that so cool?
That is so cool. I mean, it's basically like an Amazonica, but all of the edges are like wavy and ruffled like an old witch's hat.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
like
a very cool looking. Yeah, like cooked spinach.
It's literally like a Shangri-La pothos.
Like a yeah, I see why you're saying that now. That yeah, totally makes sense.
Yeah, but it's just the Shangri-La Alocasia almost.
Wow, I'd love to see one of those in person.
Isn't
I've
that
never
so
seen that.
weird? Like,
Yeah.
that is such a good Halloween plant.
That's a great Halloween plant.
I'm so obsessed with that one. Oh yeah, but I don't know. Ooh, let's actually look. I'm gonna go on good old eBay. Let's see what eBay has
Oh my
to
god,
say.
please tell me.
Well, let's see if there's even one on here. I wonder. Let's see, Allocation local. You know what? There. Oh, there's this flying squid, the Plumbia.
Isn't she cool?
I always forget that one is an Allocation.
Yeah, Rose with Hose used to sell it for a while.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was like a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. That was in their like beginning days.
I'm just gonna Google Allocation loco for sale. You know what? There's
Nothing out there.
Anything. Well, they're also really hard. It's a cultivar, so it's not found in nature or anything like that. So it is a cultivar. It is hard to find on the market. So it's more just like you have to like know somebody, like a plant collector, to get one of those. It's kind of like not necessarily like the spirit of stanky. The stanky. Oh my gosh, yeah, that one. That you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. It's like kind of like that kind of status of a plant, which I hate that plants have status.
I could see that because all the pictures when you Google it are like the same, like 3 pictures over and over
exactly. Again. It is, but we'll definitely post on our stories, and you'll be like, oh my god.
Yeah.
They need to make this more like common.
She's pretty cool.
Earlier you mentioned variegation.
Yep.
So the polys out of nowhere, and the Fridex out of nowhere, have variegation all of a sudden.
Which is so much fun.
Selling allocations with variegation. Now we're talking about the variegation that has the splashes and like the speckly variegation.
Yep, so this is chimeral variegation, specifically, which just means that it's random.
Exactly. But allocations do have variegation. So that is like if they're red, if they're, silvery blue, like that is still variegated, but we're talking again about the chimeral. So it's weird to see these Allocasia all of a sudden have that kind of variegation come out all of a sudden and be like this big, like, I need to have a poly that's variegated. I don't know, like, do you know what I mean? Where it's like, I feel like everybody kind of overlooks the poly right now because it is so it is so common that it's like, it's variegated. Don't get me wrong, I love variegated. I love it. I think it's beautiful. But just like out of nowhere, it just kind of like this Allocasia, and then this Allocasia, and then this Allocation. I'm like, what is happening right now? How are all of these coming out of the woodwork with variegation?
Everybody's just like a slut for variegation.
Yes.
It just makes so much more money online. So people see like the smallest speckle, and it's like a huge deal. So like we bought for the shop, we got a bunch of Allocasia like silver dragons in, and like 2 or 3 of them had variegation on them.
What?
It was not as uncommon as you would think. Like they just kind of spat it out, almost like a neon pothos. Like, you know how neon pothos are just variegated all the time? I saw, was it you that told me about that person that was trying to sell
we talked about that last week.
Yeah. Like, it's kind of like that, it seems. Like, it just happens every once in a while. I don't know how to tell if it's stable or not. You know, like with a philodendron where you look at the stem, or a monstera.
I don't know, actually, because I feel like the genes of the variegation are just in the bulb, right?
Well, it's not a gene. It's like a fuck up of the gene, right? Like, it's just a mutation.
Yeah, so
that just randomly happens.
Like, I don't think you can really. I don't know. That's cool.
And I wouldn't know how to encourage it either. So honestly, I feel like this will be like an open-ended section. Like we might like ask everybody listening, like, how stable is this variegation? Like, how do you encourage it and keep it the way that you would with a philodendron or monstera?
Yeah. And where does it come from? Like, if you can like tell, is it coming from like the stems, the bulb?
Yeah.
Like, where are the genes mostly held?
Yeah, that's encouraging this to happen. I would be very curious. Because it definitely is a thing. Like an Adora variegata is like a stable variegated plant.
Yes.
You know?
And I feel like I see those
pretty often.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like those are definitely like, and those are sold as elephant ears mostly. Like they're marketed as those. But yeah, I see those all the time. Those die really easily in my house. I bought one. I bought like the variegated taro plant, and it like full on died. But I put it in low light, so that's my fault.
Yeah, with the variegation, I mean, like, they prefer bright and direct light, but
Yeah.
know that with variegation, you're going to want brighter light, always.
Definitely. Didn't know that in my early Planned Parenthood.
Alright, well, hopefully y'all can tell us a little bit about variegation.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I feel like we learned a lot about Allocasia in general, which
Yeah.
is a pretty big, not actually a very large botanical genus.
No.
But in terms of houseplants in the market,
Mhm.
cultivars available,
Yeah.
it's fucking massive.
So I think the burning question is, Jillian, do you want to go back and get an allocation?
Honestly, I have definitely seen Alocasia come through that I'm like, wow, that is
Yeah.
stunning.
Yeah.
Stunning. But I just don't have a humidifier running like I used to.
Mm.
So it's a lot harder to keep them happy.
Yeah. You should try the pink dragon.
No. I really appreciate the suggestion.
Oh, I love Jillian, you guys.
Maybe. I mean, I think it's really beautiful. I love the pink stems.
Yeah.
Yeah, same with the Sabrina. Like, I love the stem of the Sabrina.
So, like, if one, like, arose itself to you and was like, take me home, would you take it home?
I mean, I would try to take care of it as best as I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a little table with some tropicals.
Again, Jillian is the rocks and dead sticks.
I'm loving them. They're so good to me. I will say, like, I have a philodendron palmafurum, which is a plant on my wish list for a long time, and I decided I was going to try to keep her, despite getting rid of all my other tropicals, because I love her so much.
Yeah.
She's doing just fucking fine without a humidifier.
Yeah.
Like, all of her leaves look perfect. So,
Aww.
I'm happy to keep her. So, if it's like that, like, happy to do it. It just has to be able to tolerate some periods of neglect.
Yeah.
Every once in a while.
Yeah. I feel you on that.
Mhm.
I feel you on that. I get it. Trust me, there's some that I'm just like, peace, bitches. Fucking die already. I can't with you. I'm that person. I feel like it'd be easier to just like give it away, but I don't want to give somebody a plant that's like kind of on its way out. Like I feel bad.
You just have to let them know. Like, some people like rehab plants. They feel
Don't
really good
get you
about it.
people. The people who like rehab plants, like you are your own species. It's a good for you. I wish I was like that, but I don't get it.
I don't have the time.
I don't have the time.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't want a project like that to resuscitate something. Anyway, I gotta resuscitate myself and my health.
I know, right? Priorities, y'all. Water yourself first.
Exactly. Well, cool. Okay, so Alocasia.
Yep.
Wonderful. Thank
Love
you. And you can find us at 2 Girls 1 Plant Podcast on Instagram and on YouTube and on Facebook. We are. When are we launching our website?
I don't know. Like, I wanted to do it before the holidays, but then
Let's
Black
just
Friday passed. And
Let's just say fuck it. By the time this episode comes out,
you
our
can
website-
actually go check it. Yeah.
What do you mean?
You can go check the website when this episode comes out.
Okay. I haven't had a chance to, so.
When this episode comes out, I think the public can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you better go look at it while I'm editing.
Okay. So we do have a exciting announcement. We are releasing our website to the public when this episode comes out. It's been, y'all.
I know. We've been working on this for a minute behind the scenes.
It's making a website is so frustrating. If you don't have somebody who does websites, like,
And we're not those people. Neither one of us.
like, nope, I can do Canva. I can make beautiful stories for our Instagram, and so can Jillian, but like when it comes to a website, it's so difficult. So we tried, and we're just going to constantly be updating it and playing with it, but it does have our merch on it.
It does. Merch is available.
Merch is available. We love our merch. We're so excited about it coming out. And people hopefully buying it. And if you don't want to buy it, that's cool too. It's just going to be there if you want to buy it. And it's going to have really great resources. So our hope is that for each episode that comes out, we're not going to be backlogging and doing all the episodes we've done, but starting with, I believe we might be doing this episode.
Yeah, we can do this.
We will be doing what's called like show notes. So we're
like legit show notes, not like what we've been writing.
Yeah.
On Spotify.
Yeah, so it's going to be more in detail, our thought process and what we believe and kind of like what we've learned from after doing the episode, and what was like hard. So it's kind of like our journal regarding like each week with the episode. So you can read about that. There's going to be links to like our YouTube channel. There's going to be links to like we're going to make an Amazon shop. So like stuff we talk about like in episodes, like you can go to our Amazon shop for that. So there's going to be, like I said, a lot of really cool stuff about us. You can read about us, which is like, you know, cool.
Somehow, like coming halfway. You must like us a little bit. You're here.
But yeah, so we're pretty stoked about it. So please check it out. We've worked really hard on it.
Yeah, and give us like feedback too, especially if you genuinely love the podcast.
Yeah.
Please give us feedback and let us know how you like the website. If there's a button that isn't working, if there's something you wish you could see from us and you don't see it yet, because that would really help us adjust and make it perfect.
Please, like any like feedback to make it better or what would be better. Like we are so open to it. Like we even asked like on our stories, we're like, does anybody know how to like do a website?
That would be so cool.
And nobody like reached out, so we're like asking you now for the podcast.
But it's a really easy website. It's
Yeah.
2girls1plant.com.
Yay.
And that is the number 2 girls, the number 1 plant.com.
Aww.
Yeah, it's pretty cute. Yeah, honestly, I'm pretty proud of how it looks so far.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll just keep getting better and it'll make it even easier for you guys to reach out to us.
Yeah. Cool.
And hang out with us.
I love it.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, y'all.
Thanks for listening and thanks for dealing with my cough.
With this whole COVID year.
Oh my gosh, definitely. All right, well, thanks for listening.
Yeah, we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Oh.
Ugh.
Yeah, like honestly, the website does look really good.
Let's